Hello everyone. Today I wanted to bring some thoughts about the Game of Thrones character Sansa Stark. And why? Well, this is because a couple of days ago I saw a question on Quora. Yes, I have that somehow. I did not sign, but I have that. Anyway, I saw a question on Quora asking if is Sansa a Stark? And this question actually brought me or reinforced in me an idea that many people are not really getting this character in a way it deserves, or in a way she deserves. Well, I do believe that Sansa Stark is a very tricky character to get along, especially on her first couple seasons. She is likely even worse to understand in the books versus the series, because the series tried to kind of correct a little bit or make it easier for most people. But anyway, Sansa is a very she is kind of a mix between a complex and a simple character. Indeed, I think she is very simple, but she is a product of a time and an era that may be hard to understand for many people. But let's get into this. Let's get into this a bit more. Well, I would before I dive a little bit more, I would like to say that this is only my personal view. I much welcome different views, and for sure, I'm not the owner of the truth. I'm not George Martin, so I don't know what he really intended, but I have a feeling, my own feeling of what's behind this character, and I wanted to tell something about her, because when I see this kind of question on Quora, if she is indeed a Stark, I can understand why people have troubles with this. Sansa is very different from Arya, as depicted in the series. Sansa is very different from all her brothers, so she seems almost like something else. She is even very different from the Catelyn Stark we see in the series. So she seems like something almost out of the blue in that family. But let me now dive a little bit and say why I think Sansa is like she is and what explains her behavior. A couple things I would like to say. First, you need to really understand the kind of world and society Sansa grew up in. And you have to understand that this is the kind of society Game of Thrones depicts is very relatable to a medieval Western Europe. And this is a very strong patriarchal, or like a very strong man world. Like the men are the warrior leaders, they are mostly in charge. That doesn't mean there are not some very strong women out there, but mostly men are kings. Men have first right. Men have the right to inherit titles and lands and all that. So it's a man's world, and pretty much again, I want to get there that there are strong women in this world. They do manage, but one has to understand how the majority of the world works, and where Sansa is growing into. Well, in this kind of society, little girls were raised for pretty much one big purpose. They were kind of, and I know this is very sad indeed that society was like this, but girls were used as bargain ships, as kind of like they were the tools. Well, it's kind of sad to say it like this, but I feel I have to say it so that it gets plainly into people's minds. Women were used almost as tools in order to cement friendships, like alliances, or even to secure titles or lands. This was how they were thought. They were thought like kind of, and I'm sorry for saying this, but they were thought like baby machines and alliance tools, which were used to connect rival families or friendly families, and then just to help consolidate the lands and titles into a more powerful family. This was their role. So a little girl growing up in this kind of world, her aim would no doubt be she would like to get married with the most powerful guy possible. She would like to have the best possible title. She would like to be the house owner of the best possible castle. Maybe she would dream on having some power over like taking care of the economics or stuff like that, maybe. But that's what they really could aspire. Well, yeah, we again let's never forget that there were examples of something more. They existed, but most girls would be raised like this. And now we get into the Starks, and be advised, I'm going to say here a couple things also from the books and be comparing between series and books, and there's a couple of differences here. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go read the book. If you don't want to be spoiled, please watch at least seasons 1 and 2, because there may be a bit of spoilers coming around here, mainly for season 1. So let's see. When we watch it at Sansa growing up, there's a little bit of a difference here between the series and the books, because in the series we get the idea that Arya is having a different kind of education, whereas in the books it's absolutely obvious that they are both being raised in the same ways. It's just that Arya is not liking it, okay? Arya does not like, she's growing into her own personality, and she's not enjoying her education. But Sansa is. Sansa, she has very good behavior. She will obey, she will try to fit into a world, and she's pretty much a little girl trying to raise up to her expectations, to what is expected from her, and she's just trying to do her best. In the books, this is not so obvious in the series, but in the books we are told that Sansa, she knows a lot about all the honor codes. She knows a lot about the families, the family mottos. She knows a lot about what are the vows, the night vows. She knows a lot about all those kinds of stuff that you need to know if you are going to be the lady of a big household, and if you are going to need to entertain your guests and to show off for your family. And she is being raised for that, and for that she is almost perfect. Okay, she is really amazing, and especially when she finds herself among the Lannisters and in a very hard spot, mainly during book 2 and season 2. You can see all those qualities in her. A bit more in the books, in the series not so much, but even in the series you can see those qualities on her. She is a diplomat. She is very much a person who knows how to handle herself in the middle of a court. She is very much into court politics and court games and all that kind of stuff. She is kind of a master in that. And now going back a little bit into book 1, what we need to realize is she is a little girl, so she's trying to be very good at what she thinks she needs to be, what she thinks people want her to be, and her expectations are pretty much in line. For instance, if you see Marjorie Tyrell. If you see Marjorie Tyrell, what does Marjorie want? Marjorie wants to be the queen. And if you think Sansa, she pretty much wants the same. Yeah, because they are both the daughters of high lords, and they know the highest possible place, or the highest place they aspire to, is to be the lady or the queen of the seven kingdoms. So for Sansa, to be the queen of the seven kingdoms is really her dream, her childhood dream, for sure. That's why when she first gets the idea that she's going to be married with Joffrey and become the queen, she is pretty much in a dream. Yeah, it's her dream. Her dream has come true. She's going to achieve the highest possible place that she can. And now, something else I want to address also is the parenthood, and the way in which parents work, and the role models Sansa has. And now we have to realize also that Catelyn Stark, she is depicted a little bit differently in the books versus the series, but all in all, we in both means we get the idea that Catelyn Stark did not have that much power versus Ned Stark. Okay, and this might sound weird, but if you think Caitlyn Cat had to deal with the bastard son in her house, and she had to deal with it. She was not happy about it. She displayed her unhappiness about Jon Snow a lot, but Ned could care less about it. That's how it was. Yeah, you can think it's kind of a male society. You can think bad if you want, but that's the world they live in. And Ned was not going to appease Cat in any way. If he wants to have Jon in there and say that Jon is a bastard, so be it. Cat has to deal with it. Shut up and deal with it. That's what Cat has to do. And also, you can see that Cat, she was supposed to marry Ned's older brother, Brandon, and then she ended up marrying the younger brother just because Brandon was killed, and she had to do it, and no question. Shut up, do your job, do the best you can. So if you think this is the kind of behavior in which Sansa is being raised to, there's no doubt Cat is her mother, and everyone, all the ladies around Cat, the ladies in waiting and the ladies around, the nannies and all that, they must be very aware of this kind of world and of this kind of expected behavior. So that's what's going to be thrown into Sansa as she grows up. She's going to be told that her role model, her mother, is an obedient lady. Yeah, because she is. Yeah, she did not marry for love. Cat didn't. She ended up with a second choice husband on the spot, and go with it. She ended up with a bastard child in her house immediately after the wedding, or a couple months after the wedding. Deal with it. Go. So this is what Sansa is growing into. She doesn't know better. And here is the difference between like Sansa and Marjorie, because Marjorie, she has a very strong woman in her family, her grandmother. So it's quite obvious that Marjorie is going to be a lot more, let's say, power hungry, and a lot more going into politics and going into schemes, because she has her grandmother around. And Marjorie she is obviously a product of her grandmother. There's no question there. But Sansa has her mother, and pretty much no one else. We don't know of any contacts with Lysa. It's quite obvious she has none. We don't know of any other powerful woman around Sansa while she's growing up. So it's quite obvious Sansa only has this path for her in the beginning. So that's what she becomes. She becomes a very young lady who wants to be the queen, who is also very sheltered. She was not leaving the north a lot, so she was very sheltered. She was not getting out to executions like her brothers, no way. So again, she is very sheltered. She is the little girl, not the little girl, that's Arya, but Sansa is like the little princess of the household. And that's what she is, no question. So when Sansa has the chance to be the queen, that's her main goal. And she will be, as a naive child, she still is. Also have in mind, she is a bit younger in the books compared to the series. So when she gets the prospect of becoming the queen, she's almost a children. So she is willing and able to shut her eyes and close her ears to a lot of stuff about Joffrey just because she wants to follow her dream. And there's also, and here it's my view, I don't know if this is what Martin wanted, but I think there's also something else here with Sansa, which actually gets people very mad at her. Now there's a small spoiler from the book. Sansa in the books, she actually starts to try and get closer to Cersei. And this gets many people very mad in the book about the books. But if you think, at least on my view, if you think where Sansa was coming from, she must have seen Cersei immediately as a more powerful woman, as a woman who kind of sticks it to Robert a lot more than Cat did to Ned, and a woman who takes no shit, a woman who can get people killed if he doesn't like what happens around her. So for Sansa, Cersei must be, and this may sound weird, but Cersei is likely more of the queen Sansa wants to be than her own mother. So I think it's quite understandable that Sansa tries to get closer to Cersei and even to get some advice from Cersei and try to see, well, can I get closer and behave? Maybe Cersei knows better how to do this kind of stuff, which is being a woman in a high court. This is probably going inside Sansa's head as a little girl. So this may explain a small spoiler coming now, this may explain why when Ned tells her they are going to leave King's Landing, Sansa goes to Cersei. Which, yeah, pretty much, shit gets thrown into the fan, I know. She gets a lot of shitstorm on her because of that. But please have in mind, this was a little girl. She didn't know better. She was very lost at what was expected. Well, no, she was actually not lost. She was very sure on what was expected from her. And she was just going through the motions there. She was really not seeing the dangers and the intrigues that were escalating around her. She was not aware of that. Ned actually did not have any time to explain her better or even try what was going on and the dangers around them. Ned didn't try. So it's quite understandable that Sansa had no idea what was going on. And on her head, what she could see was Cersei was going to be the powerful woman in her circle for the future, for her whole life. So why not get closer to this woman? Why not try and follow and maybe emulate this woman, who incidentally even seems to be exerting more power than her own mother? So cool, I guess. Yes, there's the incident with Lady and there's all that, but even there Cersei kind of exerts some power. And this can be, Sansa can see, oh yeah, this thing went really bad, I lost my direwolf, but man, that woman has power. And yes, she was defending her son. I can understand, okay, she wants to defend her son, she wants to get revenge on who harmed her son. Okay, this is probably something I can do in the future. That all those things may be going inside Sansa's head, and explain how she behaves in the first couple seasons. She will then grow a lot more, she will then change a lot more, but that will be stuff for other times. So with all that, goodbye. I hope you enjoyed my view on Sansa's character. See you. Bye.